Hi, I'm Fritz with Argo Adventure. Today we have a 2021 Frontier 8x8 700. I guess we'll start off with dimensions. We are just under 5 foot wide from bumper to bumper, and just under 10 foot long from the front bumper to the back bumper as far as the length goes. The weight of this vehicle, you're going to come in around 1,250 pounds once you have a little gas and stuff in there. I believe dry weight on this is like 1,210 pounds. The bodies on all these vehicles are a high density polyethylene, just like all of the Frontiers and pretty much all the Argos for that matter. We have a full length skid plate. Body's going to be about 1/4 inch thick. Skid plate is about 1/4 inch thick, and the skid plate, this comes into mind if you've got a rugged terrain you're running over it. This protects your bottom, so it does a very good job. Now, one thing that the Frontier 700 has that some of the other lesser models do not, you will notice these aluminum housings on the front two corners. That's called axle bearing extension housings, and the Frontier has them. I gotta look here to make sure I'm right. It has them on all 4 corner axles. That will give you a little extra support for your bearing. So instead of your bearing sitting about here, it's actually moved out closer to the wheel. So there is a little extra support, which I don't know that we really have any problems with the new stuff anyway. They're built pretty heavy up there, but this, if you're running tracks and stuff, it definitely is a plus. The other thing that the Frontier has, you will notice this little tie down, or little hook rather. For tying down, you have 2 hooks in the front on the Frontier 700, as well as the 2 on the back on the trailer hitch, which we'll show you in a second. So we will move our way around. We're gonna continue on the lower body here. We're going to start off, we have the Frontier comes standard with a 24 by 10 inch tire on 8 inch rims. So 24 inch tall, 10 inch wide, and we're an 8 inch steel offset rim. The offset rim comes into play if you were going to run tracks, because you can rotate the tires from this side, flip them, or how do I want to say it? Take the tires off this side and swap them with the ones on the other side, and it will move your wheel out about 2.5 inches, which will allow clearance for the 18 inch track. Coming around the side view of the vehicle, you're going to notice, if you were to back up, you're going to notice that the rear tire is just a little bit up off the ground. On all of the 8-wheel models, they have what they call a banana frame. Basically, the front axle and rear axle are a little higher up than the center axles. That being said, with the weight of the engine, it usually elevates the back axle, and it's a banana frame. The idea behind it, so they steer a little easier, especially when you're running tracks. As we move our way to the back of the vehicle, you will notice here's the other 2-point tie down. So basically we have our front corners that are, I pointed out in the front, and then on the back it's on the trailer hitch, so you have tie down points for if it's on a trailer or something to that effect. This is just your skid plate. It is that full length skid plate again, from the front of the vehicle all the way to the back and up about 8 inches. This has on both sides there's a drain plug, and this is for if you get water in your vehicle, say it sets out in the rain or you want to wash it or whatever. If you park the vehicle at a slant, you can screw these little drain plugs out. They're basically like a boat plug. Your water and stuff you can rinse out, and they just screw in and out. They're very, very simple when it comes to that. So, and I guess the other thing I want to point out is the bearing extension housings. The Frontier 700 again has them on front and rear. So, and I think that takes care of the back of this buggy. From the front of the vehicle, something I haven't pointed out in the other videos, all the Frontiers, here's your headlights on them, and they just have the one beam. Some of the other models have high and low, but you've basically just got your one set of headlights on this. Moving on, we've got our little latches to get to the engine compartment. They just click on and off. They're secure it pretty good. Your hood can lift up and lay back with no problem. Now, the Frontier 700 is actually a 23 horse fuel injected Kohler engine, and fuel injected, no choke. So that's wonderful. You just get in and start it like you start a regular vehicle, like a car, the new cars and stuff nowadays. So another nice thing with fuel injection, if you're somebody that is above 5,000 feet of elevation, you don't have to worry about adjusting jetting or anything that way, or clutch. You still have to do clutch weights, but as far as the engine goes, it's going to run wherever you're at. So as far as under the hood goes, so we've got our 23 horse Kohler engine. We've got a 12-volt battery, just like the others. It's up underneath here, under the dash here. Fuse panel. The classic transmission sits down in behind the engine, and we have our CVT, or continuous variable speed clutch, with our belt. And as with all of our Frontiers, we bring them in with the California emissions, so they are legal if you are purchasing this vehicle for the state of California. Okay, so now we will take a look at the interior area of the Frontier 700 8x8. We're going to start off with the steering. The Argo progressive steering. Basically, with the classic transmission, when you're in gear, you brake one side or the other to steer the vehicle. The progressive steering was designed by Hayes Brakes, and the idea behind it is so it's just a real comfortable, smooth steering. And they've got some little spring assists down below that when you're turning, you can see it kind of springs back. It's just a real smooth setup. As far as starting the vehicle, they've got a regular ignition. It's going to be more along the style of the new ATV type. You've got a brake on your left-hand side. You turn the key on, pull the brake, and push the start button. And so basically it's a one-handed operation. When the key's on, the vehicle being fuel injected, there's no choke. It just starts up and it'll run. Throttle is on the opposite side, and all the new ones have the finger pull throttle, no longer the twist grip. So basically you just start it up and put it in gear and pull the trigger, and away you go. As far as the rest of the dash goes, you've got your rocker switch for your bilge pump, which is standard in the Frontier 700. You've got your little LED gauge, and it has your speedometer, your voltmeter, RPMs, and I think there's a clock and a little bit of other stuff, but that's the basic necessities that you're really after. You've got a few extra plugs here. This is for extra accessories. You add a winch, you add a windshield wiper, whatever the case is. These pop out. Maybe you put some lights on a brush guard or something. You can have all that there. Over here, we have got our park brake. So basically you pull the lever. It's a mechanical brake that will, there's a brake on each side that it will lock your tires. So basically trailering, if you're at a hunting spot and you're on a little bit of a hill, you can pull your brake and kind of lock things up. If I go down into the lower compartment here, now I have the bolts out of this, so I'm doing this so we can show you in a second what the underneath looks like. But you shift your transmission here. We've got low range, high range, neutral, and reverse. And I don't know if I covered speed on this one, but you're going to be looking at high range is going to run that 18 to 22 mile an hour. Low range, you're going to be in that 10 to 15, and reverse is at 10, 12, 15, right in there. And I kind of vary on it. Vehicles vary a little bit from vehicle to vehicle. And the other thing is there's two different gear ratios you can get in the classic transmission. And the low gear ratio gives you a little more power, but it's slower. The standard gear ratio, it's a little faster. So that's where that variance comes in. We've got a flat floor pan, and then we jump up to the seat. I'm going to raise this up. You do have under the seat, I guess there's an oil filter sitting here. There's on some vehicles, they were shipping with maintenance kits there for a while. But anyway, you've got some storage under the seat, and this is just a standard Kohler oil filter. It gives you kind of an idea. That box is probably 3.5 inches tall, so it gives you an idea of your size. Otherwise, you've got grab handles up here for assist getting in and out of the vehicle. The Frontier 700 has this nice little grab handle on the side, and there's a couple on that side for passengers, and also we've got a cup holder on either side here. As we work our way farther to the back, this is something I'll point out in this video that I think I've missed in a few of the others. So the back end, obviously the 8-wheeler is a lot bigger than the 6-wheeler, and all of the, whether it's a 650, a 700, all of the Argos in the back, this compartment's pretty much the same size. So now these seats do come out for the guy that's going to put a spray tank or something that way, or maybe you're hauling a bunch of decoys or whatever, or something sharp and you don't want to scuff the seats up. But for people, you can fit 4 people back here, or probably more if you're dealing with little kids. But there is quite a bit of room, and I'll just give you an example. If I get in, and if you watch my other videos, you already know I'm about 5'11", but ultimately, if I sit in here, if you have 2 adults, you will maybe be bumping your knees a little bit in the middle, but you can get 4 people back here, and we've got customers that do it all the time. And they've got grab handles here, so the guys riding in the back have something to hang on to. And the other thing I will point out is your gas tank is actually under the seat, and it is a 7-gallon tank. I don't know the exact time that you'll run on an Argo on a tank of fuel, but I want to say it's anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, depending on how you're actually running the vehicle. And 12 hours, that might be a stretch. It's probably 6 to 10. It's probably more realistic. I'm going to climb in the front just so you can see what we got for room there. And I point this out just like in every video. If you're a tall guy, I probably have, there's close to 6 inches that if I was super tall, I have like a 34-inch inseam, so I got fairly long legs, but there's a lot of room there yet. So the tall guys, I've had guys 6'4" and 6'5" and sit in, and they're always surprised how much room they have. But basically, you've got room for 2 adults comfortably up front, and I suppose if you were hauling kids, maybe you could get a little bit more in, but that will give you a pretty good aspect of where you're at for room. So for the last part of the video, we'll do kind of a basic tear down as far as from a maintenance standpoint, so you kind of just have a little better idea of what's down below. So I know we've seen the engine compartment, but the hood will just come off. Take the hood off of it. If you get into the front compartment here, and I run off with my wrench here, hold on. You will need a 1/2-inch socket and a 3/16 Allen wrench to take there's 5 1/2-inch bolts that hold the firewall in, and there's 4 panhead Allen bolts. I think I've called them screws in other videos, but they're an Allen bolt that holds it into the floor, and I've got those loose. So basically you take those bolts off, firewall will lift out of there. Once the firewall is out, you can reach down and lift that rear pan, and this will give you access. And I want to point this out in this video, our bilge pump is located right there in the front for access there as well, and you have access to your classic transmission and your chains and grease zerks and stuff in the front. Now we will move to the back. The back on the Frontier, just like all of the Frontiers, it has the plastic molded floor pan, and you just grab a hold. They still have these little plastic deals here. Sometimes you got to pop the side, sometimes you don't on the 8-wheeler, but lift up. You'll notice that it'll want to rub the seat a little bit. Just twist it, and it'll come right up out of there without scuffing anything. And in the meantime, now you have full access to your entire drivetrain, whether or not you need to wash it, to grease it, lubricate your chains, whatever the case is. You've got I mean, they're pretty open to where you can just do all of that without too much trouble. So this has been an overview, again, of the 2021 8x8 Frontier 700. And there's a couple things to point out. Again, this is a base, the way the base unit comes. You can add the winch, the brush guard, tracks, windshield, convertible top. There's a ton of accessories that you can do. I guess if you have any questions or think one of these little devils needs to be in your garage, just give us a call. We'll fix you up. Thank you.